Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. How's everybody doing this morning?
Great. Good
Doing well.
morning.
Morning. Happy
Morning.
Saturday.
Good morning.
All right, so we are midpoint through the month of April, and we are getting rolling on our Saturday morning walk and talk, as we call it. And for those that are joining us live, great. It allows us to kind of have some docket items and some round robin and a lot of fun. For those that aren't catching us live, you can listen to this or watch it on our Voices of HealthPointe YouTube channel. So we've got a couple of docket items. I'm going to, we often talk about lifespan versus health span, or I should say health span versus lifespan. And we've got a great example of that going on at the Masters Golf Tournament right now. We're so fortunate we routinely have an amazing example of that joining us almost every Saturday morning, and that's our own Hank Zampa talking about health span and lifespan. But I'm going to, no pun intended, tee up Gary Player on the Masters Golf Tournament. We've got Carol that is going to talk about the value of community, such an important topic when it comes to health and wellness for sure. And then we've got a special segment from Eileen on one of her HealthPointe clients and some amazing achievements so far in her journey. So we're going to explore all of those. I'm going to kick us off first on just kind of some things for those of you that aren't familiar with Gary Player or maybe don't follow golf. Let me kind of go through some things and then I'll try to queue up a bit of a segment here to wrap it up. So at 89 years old, Gary Player isn't just a retired golf champion. He's a living blueprint for what it means to maximize not just lifespan, but health span. As the 2025 Masters unfolds, the cameras may focus on rising stars, but those who understand health and longevity can't help but turn their gaze to Gary Player, who continues to live with energy, sharpness, and discipline. And for those, again, that aren't familiar with Gary Player, maybe follow golf, but might appreciate some accolades, this is just some of them for Gary Player. First of all, he's a 9-time major championship winner. So in golf, you have tournaments, and then you have what's called the majors. He's a 9-time major. He's one of only 5 golfers in history to win what's called the Career Grand Slam. And the Career Grand Slam means winning all 4 of golf's major championships, which includes the Masters, which is going on right now, the U.S. Open, the Open Championship, and the PGA Championship. So he's in a very rarefied air on that. And to give you an idea on that, the other golfers that have achieved that are Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, Ben Hogan, and Gene Sarazen. So he's in very rare air there. He has 165 professional tournament victories worldwide. He's in the World Golf Hall of Fame. He's a decorated global ambassador for golf and fitness. And he's an author, philanthropist, and mentor to countless athletes. So lifespan is how long we live. Health span is how well we live. Gary Player is proof that we don't have to sacrifice one for the other. He puts it bluntly. I should say he's from South Africa. And those of us that enjoy sometimes in our program listening to South Africans, they can be quite straightforward and what we might call a choleric or blunt personality. But so he puts it bluntly. He says, quote, "You don't reach 90 if you eat a bunch of crap, but that's your choice," unquote. So Player made his choice decades ago. His routine is no accident. It's built on discipline, intentional living, and self-respect. At an age when most people are winding down, he's lifting weights, walking miles, stretching daily, and still swinging a golf club with grace. His fuel, quote, "mainly fruits and vegetables, things like avocado and roughage," unquote. He avoids processed food, sugar. So anything sound familiar here? We're talking HealthPointe here. So he avoids processed food, sugar, and excess, opting instead for nourishment that supports vitality. He says, quote, I just simply can't eat the things that I see other people eat, unquote. He says that without apology. Beyond diet and movement, players sought wisdom from around the world. A visit to India introduced him to a gerontologist who gave him 11 principles for longevity. He's followed them ever since. He says, quote, I might drop dead tomorrow, he quips, but I'm giving it a hell of a try. And at the heart of it all is love. Love for life, love for golf, and love for people. He says, I want to live to 100 because I love people, I love golf, I just love life. So that right there is healthspan in motion. To move well, think clearly, laugh often, and live with purpose well into your 9th decade. Gary Player didn't stumble into this. He engineered it with daily choices and a mindset rooted in vitality. As the next generation competes on the greens of Augusta, the oldest man in the room may just be the most energized. Gary Player reminds us that health isn't just about adding years to life, it's about adding life to those years. Okay, now if I can make it happen, I would like to do a screen share and pull up a short video of him, no better than to actually hear it from him. And it's a really great short interview that I thought would be valuable for us to take a look at. So let me make this happen here.
His 67th trip to Augusta National Golf Club. When you hear that number, what goes through your mind?
One word, gratitude. I mean, to be in this great country, greatest in the world, and to be at this wonderful tournament, having met President Eisenhower, who fought for freedom, which is such a cherished word, and then you see Bobby Jones and all the different chairmen they've had, and to see how this golf tournament's gone from strength to strength, and the enthusiasm that's at this tournament. Enthusiasm is one of the great essences of life. It's just an absolute dream to be coming back here every time. And now with my great-grandchildren.
I understand you have some special caddies with you today.
6 children, 22 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren. I mean, you're blessed, aren't you?
Incredibly blessed. Introduce us.
But this is, can you tell him your name?
Elijah.
And how old are you?
I'm turning 7 on Sunday.
And he's a good runner and a good swimmer. And this is, tell him your name.
Alessia.
And how old are you?
5.
And do you love school?
Yes.
What's your favorite subject?
What's a subject?
Subject is, what do you like best about school?
Swimming.
Swimming.
Well, that's my favorite subject in school too. I love it.
And this is the latest.
This is Olivia, and she's 1.
And she's 1, and we got another one born in Philadelphia 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So by the time, I've got such a big family, I've got to win the tournament to break even.
All of these years, his presence here, what does it mean to your family?
It's so incredible. He's so inspiring. We love him. And obviously we know him on a personal level. We were all in the bed with him this morning cuddling, and he's just the best grandpa and the best great-grandfather and just a world champion, yeah. And we just absolutely are in awe of him all the time. And now that he's turning 90, we just can't believe we're still standing here with him. It's such a blessing.
I will tell you, having spent time with you before, I feel like I saw tears and I saw some emotion when you came down there. I still do.
I do. Well, it's Winston Churchill was my great hero, and he cried. And I'm not ashamed to say that I'm a fierce competitor on the golf course, but I'm a crybaby in life because, having struggled a great deal, it's made me appreciate things. When I come to this country and I see the love I get around the world, and love is the greatest word that exists. You can take all the nuclear weapons and make a big noise, but love is more powerful and it's silent. So my life is blessed with love.
Thank you so much for your time, sir. Have a great time.
A great message. And by the way, if this is what 90 looks like, sign me up. Look at Gary Player out there, high-fiving the people, jumping around, just having a great time earlier today, the par 3 contest.
Okay, guys. So thought I would do a segment on that, on health span, not just lifespan. I'll open it up for any questions, comments, or we can certainly move to our next docket item. But Gary Player, I love that final segment. I love everything that he said there, and that's why I wanted to share it. Where he talks about his attitude. What did he start with first? He talked about gratitude, and then to see him running amongst the crowd and the gallery and high-fiving, and after he does a tee shot, he does a high kick. I mean, most people half his age would snap a hamstring when they did that. So, but anyhow, anybody else want to comment?
Well, that's very inspirational, even for me. He's a couple of years younger than I am, but very inspiring to see that. And he mentioned the same hero of my life, Winston Churchill, way back when. That's World War II stuff, I know, but what that man did to pull that country through that World War II was amazing. So I totally agree with him. Thank you for sharing that, Eric. That was great.
Absolutely, Hank. We need to get the two of you together, and you can get him set up on the Hank Zampa morning routine, which you have covered with us and blessed our lives with getting your morning started correctly. So we're so fortunate and blessed to have you in our presence and coaching us and teaching us. And Gary Player is good, but I'll take Hank Zampa over Gary Player.
Well, he's got a lot more great grandchildren than grandchildren I have, but he started earlier, I think, than I did. I was 30 when I started. So.
That's awesome.
All right. Thanks for your time, Eric.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Well, Carol, I see that you are speaking about health span and doing things in life. Are you able, or are you totally booked up there at the service there this morning?
Hey, Eric.
Yes.
Can I say something real quick?
Oh, for sure.
I know this probably doesn't deal with it, HealthPointe, but it seems how Winston Churchill's name was said, and he's sorry about that. He's a special person in Hank's life. I'm just wondering if Hank has ever seen the movie Ministry of Ungentlemanly Conduct. And it's a true story, based on a true story about Winston Churchill's extreme bravery about pulling off a mission that was unauthorized, but which actually changed the direction of the war regarding the subs in the Atlantic. And it's very, very graphic and kind of, warfare type stuff. But it showed what an incredible force that man was. So I just wanted to put that out there.
I love it. And I don't, Hank, you can chime in. What was the name of the movie? I'm thinking I would like to watch that, Pam. So what's the name of the movie again?
Ministry of Ungentlemanly Conduct.
Okay.
Correction, it's a warfare, babe.
Oh, sorry. What is it, honey?
Ungentlemanly warfare.
Oh, okay. There you go. It's warfare. And I might add, it's very graphic because they have to do a lot of warfare stuff. And it's covert operation, but the mission was not approved by the council, but Churchill went ahead and did it anyway because he knew it would change the war effort. And it was very scary, but it was a really good movie in our opinion. You guys may disagree, but
Pamela, please, can you just text that title to me?
I sure will, Hank.
Thank you.
Yeah, the great Winston Churchill. Yeah, we'll have to do an entire Saturday segment on that guy. Although Didn't he have talk about daily habits? Didn't he like take smoke cigars and drink brandy all the time? So maybe,
He
maybe
also
we'll
took a nap every afternoon.
there we go.
That's right. He had to go sleep it off.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, what an amazing leader at a very critical time for sure. So lots of lessons there for sure. Um, since we're on the Winston Churchill, I'm sure many of us have heard his famous speech where he just simply walks up to the podium and says, I think it's a half a dozen times, never give up. The audience is waiting for him to develop that. And he says again, never give up. And they're again waiting for him to develop, his talk. And he says again, never give up. And so when I think of Winston Churchill, I think about the courage and that tenacity and never giving up. So great stuff. Carol, are you still there and able to help us with some commentary on the value of community? Speaking of community,
Well, I
I think
actually
you're
am.
all right.
Does somebody want to say something?
No, it was me prattling on. It's all
Oh.
you.
Okay. Well, talking about lifespan and health span, I'm actually going to sit down in a rocker here in front of an assisted living home. So that's kind of a good setup, huh? This morning we have our Easter egg hunt at church, our annual one, and we pull in thousands and thousands of children that we can minister to. Helicopters come, drop Easter eggs, and it's just a really, really big affair. So I'm volunteering for that. So I'm kind of double dutying here. So excuse me if I'm all over the board. But boy, opening up, I don't know. I think our Saturday mornings are divinely led because the topics just seem to fall into place like a domino effect, one thing leads to another. And my topic today was on fear and stressors and what have you. But the first thing I wanted to address, and you so beautifully did it, Eric, with Gary Player, and then we talked about Winston Churchill and all these greats. And I think the importance of community. And community is what we're all about. Saturday mornings, Monday nights, counseling with people, mentoring people in HealthPointe, counseling with them in the business. And if you've been around as long as I have, it goes so far, far, far beyond business when we get into mentoring, and sometimes it's just being somebody's friend. But the power of community was reminded to me by Dr. Hyman, just on a little blurb. I think it was an Instagram thing that popped up on my phone. And he talked about, he says, he always talks as food as my medicine. But he said, I'm changing that to community as my medicine. And he said, community is so, and obviously all of it is very, very important. I'm not disputing any of that. But what he said is that community is even more important. The feeling of belonging, the feeling of having one or two friends, anything to, and so I just kind of wanted to open up with that. It's just a reminder that we as HealthPointe coaches or as business builders, how important it is for our people, whether we're coaching them on HealthPointe or coaching them in the business or whatever, to get them and encourage them always to get in the habit of plugging in, whether it be our Monday night lean team, Tuesday night Zampa Zoom Connects, whatever we've got going. I'm talking in general now, to get your people plugged in, because that power of community, and Hank and I can speak of this for having been in the business over 50 years, that the power of community is the major thing that has kept our business strong and solid over all those years. And people plugging in for many, 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 many years, some building big businesses, some building small businesses, some losing lots of weight, some losing a little weight. but it's that power of community. And it kind of reminds me of when you brought up Gary Player, and wow, what a great example. And along with my husband being a great example, and I live with him, so I know how disciplined he is with his morning routines and what have you. And when he's traveling or we have company or whatever, and he gets off cycle, I can feel a real difference in not having those routines that you follow. And they're very similar to what Gary Player was talking about. But we learned ours from Nutrilite in our business, not an Indian person that told Gary Player some very valuable things. But anyway, I remembered something, I think it was in the Happiness Advantage book. This is a really nice little book on the power of happiness and what an advantage that is in your life and to keep happy. And I think it was either in there or I read it somewhere, but the key to a long life and a happy life is something to do, something to wake up to, someone to love, and something to look forward to. And I think that those are three key ingredients. When you wake up in the morning and you have something to do, some purpose in life, rather than just turning on the television and vegetating as you get on in your years, but instead getting out in the marketplace, communicating with people, and connecting with them, and things like the HealthPointe that is so beautiful that it doesn't matter how old you are, you can mentor people into a healthier way of life and be an example for them. And so I think that is very important. Someone to love, and Gary brought that out. Love is the most powerful emotion that we have, and it's what keeps us going. And in our community, ours, yours and mine, we experience so much love, so much support when they can come and they can feel loved and accepted, and so that is so important. And then something to look forward to. You always want to be looking forward to the next thing. And people say to us all the time, well, aren't you ever going to retire? And I said, Hank and I always say to him, I think we did that back when Hank was 48. I mean, we retired then, but we didn't retire from something. We retired to something. And there's the key to a long life, is retiring to something. So anyway, that's a long preamble to the points I want to make here. And this is again from my favorite author, actually Dr. Vivian. And she talks here about studies confirm fearful thoughts and a negative effect on memory, focus, and more is the name of the article. And it's how can you replace the fear of stress with a positive attitude to protect your bones and brain? Now she's addressing those two things, but she also addresses many other things in the article. But the whole thing is about an attitude. You can wake up with an attitude of gratitude, or you can wake up with an attitude of bitterness. And both of those will affect your memory in a big way. So a bad attitude leads to a bad memory. And of course, memory is one of the biggest fears that people have as they move on in life. And I'm not talking about 70, 80, 90 years old. I'm talking about people start talking about losing their memory at 40 and 50 and how they have a hard time recalling and what have you. So this is not just something that happens when you're 90 years old, but it says here, talks about worry. And worry is a non-productive emotion. And fortunately, we can train our minds to control or even eliminate worry. Our inclination as human beings is to live in the future. And they talk about animals live in the present time. They don't have the ability to focus into the future. Fortunately and unfortunately, we have that. And that's where worry comes in. Well, sometimes we worry about things that could happen. We worry about things, well, especially in today's times when the world is rather unsettled and changing very rapidly, I think in an exciting way. But we worry about all this. We worry about what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And this can be very, very stressful. And it says the human ability to plan ahead is what gets us into trouble. We think about all that needs to get done by the end of the day, our upcoming obligations, social events, and this all creates stress or worry. And there was a study done by Penn State University found that thinking about potential future stressful events affects working memory. A reduced working memory or short-term memory means you're more likely to make mistakes, which can be dangerous if you're driving, working on a complex task, or responsible for someone else. And it says humans can think about and anticipate things before they happen, which can help us prepare for and even prevent certain events. But this study suggests that the ability can also be harmful to your daily memory, independent of whether the stressful events actually happen or not. And this study has been done that most of what we worry about never happens anyway. But we build all these things in our mind, and what it does is it steals us of the quality and joy of the life that God put us out there to have. And so I think we have to really remember to be able to control and, as we say, train the brain. And that's why we work so hard in the very beginning of HealthPointe to detox people's minds, because when they come into this program, and we've heard it before, people will say, I was close to antidepressant drugs. I was so despondent on where I was at and worried about, what's going to happen to me and all of that. So that's the way we meet people when they come into our HealthPointe arena and want to lose weight. And so this is why we work so heavily on, the ants, getting rid of the ants in life, and helping that person to really focus in on the positives. So it says, anticipating stress negatively affects your memory. A study was found. If you fear your day will be stressful, you disrupt your working memory, which means you'll be less able to focus on and more likely to make mistakes later in the day, even if the day ends up going well. So maybe your day went well, but you ruined it by worry and your brain going all over the place and not taking control of your thoughts. And then it says, understanding what stress is and what it's not. It says, when you're under a deadline at work, for example, or training for a marathon, your body produces more of the stress hormone cortisol to help you meet this challenge. This is normal, and in short term, it's fine. However, chronic stress becomes a problem affecting bone health and brain health. And we know also that it affects weight loss. A production of cortisol will hinder your weight loss. Long-term stress leads to excessive secretion of acidifying cortisol. Acidifying is something you don't want in your body. You want your body to have a pH balance, and I believe it's 7.9 or something. And so when you're throwing your pH balance off, that's when you are creating inflammation and you're preventing yourself from getting healthier. Also, your body uses a tremendous amount of energy to produce cortisol, energy that is therefore not available for vital processes such as bone formation, along with immune and endocrine and nervous system support. And all of those go into a healthy lifestyle. Hans Selye, who coined the term stress in 1936, defined it as body's demand for change. So you can see how, by definition, it's not necessarily negative. Change is good. How we respond to stressors, a stimulus that causes the stress response, determines whether we are actually under stress or not. And so is how the way we look at things, it's the old, is it good? Is it bad? Is the glass half full or half empty? It's all our perspective on things. Consider this: fear and excitement are the same emotion, but what we are experiencing defines the meaning. Prepping to run that 5K might not be stressful for you at all. On the other hand, you might experience a loud party as highly stressful, whereas the same event might be experienced as joyful by someone else. And so it's your attitude. I'm sure when Emily goes on her marathons, she's excited about it, but she's not fearful. She's probably got anxiety or a little excitement or anxiousness, but she's got it under control, and therefore she goes out and she performs. For someone else, they might not even try it because they have that fear of failure. Again, going back to fear. So to capitalize on that, scientist Hans Selye, who coined the term stress, describes it as the body's demand for change. What we experience as a stressor, the event or action causing the stressful response, differs according to each individual. One person's stress is another's good time. So what we might get stressed out doing a 25 or a full marathon, Emily finds as very, very good, high, emotionally exciting accomplishment in her life. So to end, it says 5 coping strategies to keep cognition strong. And this is the main thing that stressors will do, is they will affect your cognitive ability. And we want to keep our cognition or our brain operating sharp, articulate, being able to present things quickly, very, very important in our business and in life. And of course, we have a wonderful product called Memory Builder that has a substantia in it, which is a great herb to keep your memory sharp and your brain sharp. And then, of course, our DHA and our advanced omegas, super, super important in keeping your brain sharp way, way into later years. So here's your 5 coping strategies. And by the way, excuse me if there's a lot of noise going on. I am not in my quiet neighborhood, so there's a lot of stuff going on here. So number 1, transform fearful anticipation into amusing association. Fearful anticipation into amusing association. See, it's your choice how you want to look at it. Find creative connections between what you need to remember to buy or do. Making up a silly, highly visual story that involves all your obligations for the day can give you a mental boost in recalling them. Bonus, it will lighten up your anxiety. So number 2, eat, sleep, and exercise. And boy, we did a fabulous one on that last week, Eric, thanks to you, starting off with the importance of sleep, and that took on a whole life of its own. So it says getting enough sleep, eating a bone smart diet, which is the HealthPointe diet, and engaging in bone building exercises, walking, are crucial to boosting brain health and preventing fractures. And of course, we always talk about fractures in older people lead to hospital stays, bed sores, pneumonia, and many times it's not the fracture at all, but it's the hospital stay that takes a person. So we want to stay away from that as much as possible. Like creative storytelling that enhances recall, these positive actions will decrease the tendency to fret about the future. In fact, there's evidence that staying in shape improves memory. There you go, staying in shape improves memory. Well, staying in shape not only improves memory, it also helps you feel better about yourself, which is going to give you more excitement about getting out of bed in the morning, more anticipation with your loved one, and more excitement about what you've got to look forward to in your life. So it all ties together. And then the third one is don't act your age. Well, there's one for me. I do not act my age. I never have. I never will. And down to my dying grave, I will not. And my granddaughters will tell you that. I get on the floor, play games with them, act silly, screwy, and do all that fun stuff. And you do not know how powerful that is to your body's health. It's amazing, amazing. And Hank can attest to that, because when our granddaughters come and stay with us for periods of 4 and 5 days now, he hears screaming and yelling and craziness and hilarity in the other room. And he just goes in his man cave and hides. But we do live it. So it says another great coping strategy is to be childlike in your outlook. People who maintain their sense of wonder and sense of humor as they age are more resilient, able to remain positive even in difficult situations. The fourth one is choose optimism. This may sound easier said than done, especially when you're in countless obligations during holidays or company coming in. We had a month of company in and out all month long. Hank had 2 eye surgeries, multiple other things, taxes, and yet here we are, beginning of April, excited about life, having fun, and acting crazy. So what they say, fake it till you make it. This is true with just about every new habit. As you begin to accentuate the positive, both in how you act and in what you say to others, it will become your new normal. And then the last thing is rutin, R-U-T-I-N. Rutin is a flavonoid found in plant foods. Hello, HealthPointe, plant foods. All right. It's a powerhouse for both bone health and brain health, increasing bone density, preventing blood clots, relieving intraocular pressure, a boon for those with glaucoma, and playing a neuroprotective role against oxidative stressors. Make sure you consume foods which are rich in rutin, such as buckwheat, apples, figs, and citrus fruits. Citrus fruits are very, very important. And in HealthPointe, it actually tells you to eat one citrus every single day. And it's got all kinds of benefits. And that little white stuff, trying to think of what it is called now. But anyway, that is loaded with bioflavonoids, as is our vitamin C. Our vitamin C is a massive amount of bioflavonoids as a whole, as Mother Nature puts them in the food. So if you want rutin, you're going to get it in our supplements. So that's 5 excellent ways to keep stress at bay during any kind of season, whether it be a holiday season, a season of company, or a season when you're going under stress. Horrible things are happening in your life. You know what? The bottom line is we can step back and gain perspective and always find joy in something. So make sure that your glass, when you look at it, is always looking half full or 3/4 full. So in the last, it says here, if you start your day with an optimistic outlook, you'll protect your memory and bones by setting the stage for a stress-free day. Stress is a call for change. By taking a proactive approach, taking good care of yourself, especially during the holiday season, you will transform worry into positive perspective. So with a glass half full attitude, you'll be better equipped to cope with challenges and enjoy the holidays and your life to the fullest. And with that, I'm going to go finish my power walk. Then I'm going to go and get with 5,000 kids and 50,000 eggs being dropped out of helicopters. I'm going to go home, do some counseling sessions and uplift people. And then we're going to end with some friends for a nice dinner out on the water. So with that, Eric, I'm going to turn it back over to you and continue my power walk.
Wow, that was phenomenal, Carol. And all of that when you're out and high activity, getting things done already this morning and just making it happen. I just love it, So many things that are of super high value and everything that you covered there. We can certainly chat on those. Anybody want to queue up anything that kind of popped out to you? There was, as people are thinking about that, I'll just, first of all, you mentioned about the happiness advantage. I know we recommend a good handful of books in this program, and that happiness advantage, if you haven't read that, if you like almost kind of like a Malcolm Gladwell type of writing, where it's got a lot of studies but it's woven into a nice narrative manner. It's really, really great on that. Kicking it off as community as our medicine. And for those that are aware of Dr. Mark Hyman, he often will say, food is use food as our medicine. And he's a absolute leader in this space, and he often quotes that. But I agree, community as our medicine is, the more we can lock into this community of like-minded people, focused around health and HealthPointe, the better. And trying to do this, not only unplug from this community, and you went through there's ample opportunity for people to plug in. We've got the Saturday mornings, we got the Monday evenings, you've got the Tuesday, we've got all kinds of things throughout the week that people can plug into, as well as, audios that can be asynchronous. They can be listening to them without being on a live Zoom. So, but I think, plugging into this community, trying to be healthy, have all these health attributes, unplug from that. And by unplug from that, that probably means you're plugging into some other type of community, even if it's by default. And some of those communities, you might not define it by community, but it's the people that we hang around with. If they're not representing what we value in life, then we just have to be clear that we're influenced by the people that we plug into and hang around with. So I thought that was just so many great things on that, Carol. Thank you so much. Anybody else?
I will just share, piggybacking on what you said. As a parent, we are very much aware of who our children are associated with because we know the power of association. Sadly, we seem to forget that fact for ourselves as we become adults, that the power of who we choose to associate with dramatically will impact where we end up in our life or how the life will progress.
It's so well said, David. So well said. Yeah, we so often with the children, it's so clear to be mindful of who your friends are, who you're hanging out with. But as David's pointing out, to make sure that we apply that to ourselves as we march through life. So such a great point there. Eileen, I know you're going to be queuing up here if and when you're ready. As we wait for that, I'll just share that a segment. You kind of queued up Emily there a little bit, Carol, and two things on Emily. One is, yes, she is, as we speak, down in the workout room on the treadmill, I think knocking out 13 miles running this morning in her training for her upcoming 25K. But it's so funny. She said, in order for me to, she wants to be on this program. She's on this program right now. Obviously not communicating on here, just listening. But she said, I like to time it so that I wrap up my run just as you guys are wrapping up the walk and talk. So I need to get started around, I think, 6:30 a.m. on, start running at 6:30 a.m. in order for that to happen. So that's the crazy wife that the crazy and wonderful wife that I live with, and she is doing her training. But the other thing I wanted to mention on is you touched on cortisol, and she at some point is going to possibly do a segment on some of the things that she's been experiencing and working on that affects cortisol. And I'll let her share on that at some point in the future when she's able to. But it's a really, really amazing insight that I think she's experiencing some wonderful benefits of it. And it'll be a very big value to this Voices of HealthPointe community here to learn about what she's experiencing and learning. So, but with that, I do see Eileen, and good morning, Eileen. We're turning it over to you.
Good morning, everyone. So I wanted to share a really good experience I'm having with a friend of mine. She weighed 307 pounds. She's tall, so it's not like me, 5'2", weighing that. But she's quite tall, but she still was unhappy with her weight and having mobility issues and so on. So she joined HealthPointe after she saw how I did with the program. And now she's down to the 250s. That's really exciting for her to see that number. Yep, she's 47 pounds, and she says this is the only program that has worked for her. Her husband lost weight doing, I don't know, just cutting back, which maybe guys can do, years ago. And so he could do that, but that didn't work for her, just cutting back to lose weight. Anyway, she's doing so well. I'm so proud of her. She sticks to it. She writes everything down. She is starting to be able to walk a little better. So she's increasing her steps a bit, and she doesn't want to come on video and she's very shy. But she has a before picture, and I can't share it just yet. And the picture now, she has a cute top on and cute little capris, and she's smiling, and she's like super cute, and I'm so happy for her. And that's HealthPointe.
Holy cow. That is amazing. 47 pounds down, and just already seeing the change in her disposition and her ability to walk. Wow.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
exciting.
phenomenal.
Yeah, just wanted to share. It's so exciting.
Absolutely.
Eileen is a great coach, and I sent this gal a little message of congratulations on her journey thus far. And I said, you are with one of the best, and not just because Eileen knows how to coach or has all the answers. It's because Eileen's walk the walk and talk the talk. And I really, really hope as we move along in this whole coaching program and people successfully losing weight, that they will want to pay it forward and perhaps even become coaches themselves, or at least refer other people. Because when you do it, people will pay attention to what you say. When you're slender and you're trying to sell the program, and maybe you've never lost 50 or 75 pounds or whatever, people they're going to listen to you, but they're going to filter it out as, yeah, you don't have a weight problem. You never have. You got a high metabolism and blah, 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 blah. But when a person has been on the other side of things and lost all that weight, there makes a really, really good coach. So congratulations to you, Eileen. And she's not only done that with this gal, but she has certainly done it with her mom. You remember her mom being on Lean Team, and how bright and, what did you say, Eric? She was cute as a button.
She was just so cute, the way she sat in
Yeah.
that chair, and and I don't know if it was Eileen that was setting up, or somebody was setting up her video for her, and she's like, am I on? Am I on? And she
Yeah.
was just so matter of fact and so cute, and just what a transformation in her life at what, 85, I think.
Yeah, she's 84, and she's having a little setback, and you probably remember she's taking a lot of medication. So I think, after you're on a while, I think she's being a little bit slack, but she says she isn't. So she's kind of like cruising, and then I was getting scared, like, are you going to give up? Because she was getting annoyed that she wasn't losing. And she goes, Eileen, I'm not going back to my old way, so don't even worry about that. This is what I'm sticking with. I'm going to get down to the 150s. I'm just stuck right now and complaining because, she likes to complain a little bit to me, but yeah, so she's like, I'm not going back.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. And the reality is, in case anybody out there is wondering, this isn't about perfection, and
Right.
Eileen's mom is, it's the journey, this is life. We have, whether it's circumstances in our life that pop in or pop out, or our own, disposition. Sometimes, we're on top of the world, and sometimes the world is on top of us. And, being connected with a community, being connected with the coach, and it's not about perfection. And so we're just so proud of your mom and you, Eileen, for sure.
Well, I will share that I have had to come a long way in the coaching because I was a little too much of a perfectionist in the beginning. And Carol taught me, not to, and like meet them where they are. And I think that's helped me in my life overall, really. I think it's been a good experience for me to learn that. Yeah.
Wow. So much. We could do a entire segment, an hour on that, and no better than Carol and Hank. I mean, that's one thing with you guys, and I can speak to that as well, where sometimes I'm kind of ratcheted up on something, and it could be something about myself, or like you were saying, Eileen, and Carol, and just her level-headed manner, basically just helps, and it can depend on the circumstance. I'm not going to, get into, trying to outline what the circumstances is. But to your point, Eileen, this isn't about perfections. Whether you're on the journey as a client, as a participant in it, it's not about perfection. Or if you're a coach, it's not about perfection. But it is about progress, and that's the coaching. And that's kind of, when you embrace that, I'll just say, this is my perspective on it, and Carol has really helped me with this, is kind of embracing that, sometimes it's a serendipity, sometimes it's that creativity, instead of having like a rigid methodology to things, is just more embracing the art along with the science, the relationship along with the methods. And so, yeah, great stuff. And speaking of being such a great example, I know you mentioned about your friend, your client, 47 pounds down, and then Carol mentioned, that you guys are such a great example. Remind everyone again about your own weight loss, or yours and Bruce combined.
So, I'm not really good with remembering numbers, but I'm a little over 75 pounds that I've lost. And you know what's funny? I went to get a blood test this week, and the woman, we were talking about something, whether it was weight or whatever. She goes, "Yeah, well, you probably don't understand because you're slim." I'm like, "Oh my goodness." So
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, you don't understand. I'm like, "Yeah, I do." Bruce, you've lost what, 45? Yeah. 45 for Brew.
What a great lead in.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you probably don't even understand.
Oh, man. Get used to it, right, Eileen? It's just you're healthy the way you are because you're just quote unquote lucky, right? You're just lucky.
I look at the pictures of me 75 pounds higher, and I'm short. So it is like more than 75 pounds on someone who's taller. And I just cringe when I see those pictures. But I have these tools now, so I'm good.
That's awesome. That is so great.
Hey,
Yes.
Eric.
Pam.
You were talking about coach being careful about being a perfectionist or those types of things. Well, you ought to try living with a coach. However, I will absolutely give kudos to Steve, because this time, I don't know, Carol, you've heard me say so many times at conferences, well, if I could just be an example, I believe that would really help our HealthPointe business. And then the next conference, I'd say, well, if I could just be a good example on HealthPointe and lose some weight, I could. It might have been 3 conferences where I've said that. Well, this time I decided to do it. And Steve is really great because he knows a lot about stuff. But even even when on the weekends, I will have extra treats. Treats are my middle name. I want to have something special. But he won't ridicule. He won't say, well, did you get all your steps in? He will just encourage me when I do the right things. And I think that's like what we do with our kids. When they do the right things, then we encourage them and say, oh, I'm so proud of you. And like me getting up and actually getting my walking in, and then he'll take a walk with me in the afternoon, even though he's already worked out, he doesn't need to do it, but he has been so encouraging. And even though it's not a lot, but I'm excited because I'm down 15 pounds, Carol.
Whoa,
Wow.
good for you.
Yeah.
Way to go, Pam.
I love it.
Time, yep, this time I really meant it. So,
Hey, Pam, I agree with you. I live with a coach and she's called the step queen. And so I know what that's all about. Oh my God.
well, there is no way every time when I'm at 8,000 or something, and I just want to absolutely get off my feet, I say, Kathy, you can have that title because I'm not going to go there today. Oh my gosh. But
Yeah,
it is
I hear
great.
it every day. So don't worry. I understand. You don't have to. But I lost. How much am I down to, honey, now?
I think
Second.
25.
Wow.
How much is that?
I
So
think
getting to
25
where I was
pounds.
before. Yeah.
Hey, congratulations.
Wow. That's awesome. So
I
David,
missed that. My phone cut out. How many?
25, we're thinking.
Wow. That's great.
wow, yeah. And those that haven't caught the segment that was on a Monday night lean team and David's, very unique health journey. That was some significant stuff going on, hospital stays and so forth, and to be rebounding, talk about going through life and just kind of responding on that. And then And then Pam, on yourself and your live-in coach, aka Steve, who is, you know, a number of us are fortunate to know both you, Pam and Steve, and Steve is just, first of all, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, his primary education is as, you know, kind of a health educator, and then to parlay this into being, you know, focused and helping people through HealthPointe, and including his wonderful wife Pam, and being supportive and encouraging. You know, kudos to both of you, and congratulations, Pam, on 15 pounds. That's a lot. That's a lot for sure.
Well, when I think of those little 5-pound pieces of fat, you know, that Steve's got in the house, we get those out. And when I think that's 3 of those, sometimes when you think of a number, 15 really doesn't sound like a huge amount compared to 25 or compared to 50. But when you think of those 3 pounds, that's heavy weight. And, you know, for anybody, I say, Steve, take that sample, because that's a lot of weight and we're getting it off our bodies. So that to me is a great visual and encouraging.
Well, let me jump in here a minute, Eric, if I can, because I'm very proud of what Pam's been doing, because, you know, it's just a decision, and sometimes decisions are not easy, but to be consistent, and then you know, walk back. You know, she's walking in the house every day, if not outside.
Good
and
girl.
she'll do a mile in the house. And you know, I mean, that takes a little bit of time, but you know, the discipline that is involved in just making a decision to change and not do certain things. So I'm very proud of her for the things she's continuing to do, and continuing to go down, and a few more pounds to go, and you know, I want to keep her around for a long time. So that's good.
I'm a firm believer in it's not about the pounds, it's about the health. So I got tired of being sick. So 1 pound is healthier. I don't care what you lose. So 15 pounds, Pam, is awesome.
Thank you.
Keep it going.
Thank you, guys. Okay, hey, Eric, do we have time for me to share a little anecdote?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, so one of my little treats are cookies. And sometimes when I'm out on my accounts, my enrollments or something, I'll go buy a cookie crumble. I will go buy, B-Y, not B-U-Y. But I will go buy a cookie crumble, and I thought, oh, shoot, I'd like to go in there. Okay, sometimes I do and get one, but one of my accounts was right next to another store called Cookies, Cookies, and I thought, oh, I'm going to try that, see if they're anything like cookie crumble. And so when I went into my account and they were right next door, I said, you guys, have you ever gotten cookies over there? I'm going to go try one. He said, I don't think you'd better. He said, those cookies are filled with stuff. It was a dispensary named Cookies. And so I thought, okay, God, I guess you're telling me no cookies today.
Oh, so you're talking, it was a marijuana dispensary, is what you're saying?
Yes, and apparently, I don't know if they have actual cookies there or not, but it's called Cookies. Like, you know, anybody would go in there and they're going, oh, I'll take a cookie, and well, they'll be surprised, I think.
Maybe you ought to do that, Pam, because once you give those guys one of those things, they'd agree to anything you're working with.
No kidding. I was thinking the same things, Steve. You know, boy, and then maybe have a few cookies before hopping on to the Voices of HealthPointe walk and talk.
The problem would be the cravings afterwards, guys, I'm sure.
Yeah. No, Pam would be sitting there with her bag of Cheetos and Cheeto cheese all over her mouth.
Oh, I thought, well, God, thank you. I didn't need a cookie today anyway, so this is a good thing.
Hey, guys, I'm going to sign out, but I just want to
Oh, did we lose Carol? She was
we've all been laughing this morning and share stories about ourselves, sharing joy. Pardon? Oh, maybe you can't
you
hear
were-
me. Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can
Oh.
hear you. You were frozen for just a second.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm in the worst possible place and I'm going into church. But I just wanted to say everybody was laughing this joy feel go. It's all me. It's all about health span, lifespan, and just feeling good about life. So with that, I'm going to say sayonara, guys, and thanks, Eric, for for doing all of this. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. And we'll all say sayonara. That's our cue to wrap up. We're right at the roughly 1 hour mark. Thank you, everyone. This is so much involvement as everybody, so many people contributed. So we'll see you next week, same time, same place. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Keep it up,
Bye.
Pam.
Thank